Have you ever met someone that is an incredible talent, like truly gifted at what they do? Maybe a musician, an athlete, a writer, composer, whatever that is. When you meet those people, what goes through your mind? Do you sit there and think, wow, I could never do that. I could never do what they do. They were just born with so much talent, born with such an incredible gift. And this is where in the video you're probably expecting me to say, no, hold on. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. I can hear my mom in the background. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. You're special. But when you're standing there shaking hands with the basketball player who's over 7 feet and I'm just over 5 foot something, it doesn't really seem realistic, does it? Right? Like I didn't get that gifting. I didn't get that set of genes that would allow me to be maybe talented or gifted in that space. So what's the truth? The reality is that talent matters. Your genes matter, but only to a point. So in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, we come across this chapter called The Truth About Talent, when genes matter and when they don't. And in it, he says the simple truth is that people, you and I, are all born with different abilities. We're all born with a different set of genes, a different set of talents, a different set of skills. But he goes on to say that those genes don't determine our destiny, but they do determine areas of opportunity. And this is incredibly important because if you're going to be truly great, if you want to make the impact that I know that God wants to have in and through your life, then you are going to invest time, effort, and energy into something, into many things, but one thing that is hopefully going to set you apart, that's hopefully going to allow you to make that impact. But what should that something be? And when we come back to this initial conversation that we had, meeting someone who's incredibly talented, we recognize that their genes matter, but only in that they opened up a door of opportunity for them, only in that they gave them an area to focus where they said, hey, you know what, here's an opportunity where you can win in this space. And so this then gives us the question is, where can I find a game where the odds are in my favor? And this is going to be incredibly important because when you are in pursuit of greatness, when you are in pursuit of making an impact, it's going to take more hard work. It's going to be more challenging. There are going to be more things come up that stand in your way that you're going to get the opportunity to work and learn through than you could possibly imagine. And you need to remember that when you meet someone, when we meet someone who's at the top of their game, at the pinnacle of their pursuit of impact and greatness, we don't know how they got there. We have no concept of what they went through. And we say, I want to do that. I'd like to make an impact like that. But are you willing to go through what they went through to get to where they are? And this is why finding a game where the odds are in your favor is so incredibly important. So how do we do this? Because I believe that each one of us is born with different skills, talents, and abilities. Obviously, we have different genes. I know there are some days when you wake up when you're like, I'm not sure if I've got any skills, gifts, talents, or abilities. I've definitely felt like that at varying points. But James actually gives us a little bit of a roadmap that we can walk down to help identify these areas. And the first thing that he suggests is to take a close look at your personality. Like, are you introverted or extroverted? Do you like exploring and finding new things? Do you like taking things apart and putting them back together? I don't. Do you like to find things that are in order and keep them in order? Or are you curious, endlessly curious? Because your personality is driving your behavior, and behavior right under that surface is driving your habits. And you need to be able to find habits that bring you joy and satisfaction in your pursuit of greatness, in your pursuit of impact. Because it's the habits that you build that are going to pull you towards or away from the goals, the impact, the greatness that you're in pursuit of. After looking at your personality, James gives us 4 questions to ask ourselves to say, hey, you know what, how can I help to further identify or clarify where the odds are in my favor? Because in theory, I guess you could enjoy anything that you put your mind to. You could make the decision, then enjoy this. But in practice and in reality, you're more likely to enjoy things that come easier to you. So what are the 4 questions? The first question to ask yourself is, what feels like fun to me but work for others? So what do you do where you're doing it and other people might start complaining around you and you're saying, you know what, I get it, this is tough, but I can do this. This actually gives me energy. This actually pushes me forward. Maybe you're training for something, you're developing a skill set, practicing an instrument, and you just seem to be able to push through that level of, yes, of course there's pain and growth and development, but for you it fuels you and it actually drives you forward. What feels like fun to you but work for other people? The second question to ask yourself is, what do I do that makes me lose track of time? Like, what do you do where the rest of the world just sort of drifts away? You enter potentially a flow state where you're sort of happy and at peak performance and things just sort of go in your favor. I know sometimes when I sit down to write and if I get in that right space and the music's right and I can just zone out everything around me and zone in and sort of write, and I feel like that's when incredible things happen for me. It feels like a flow state. I feel like things are flowing and it's natural for me. And the third thing to to ask yourself is, where do I get greater returns than the average person? So you invest time and effort and energy to get better at something, to learn something, and for whatever reason, it just sort of clicks for you. That might be learning a new instrument or learning to play a sport. But you invested a certain amount of time, effort, and energy to develop that skill set, and compared to the average person, you get better faster. Or another example might be that people just seem to connect with your writing or connect with your speaking, or you have the ability to take ideas and clarify them and teach other people, and you find that you can do that quickly. And the fourth question to ask yourself is, what comes naturally to me? What do you do that makes you feel alive? What makes you come alive? Because the world needs more people that have come alive in passion, in pursuit of their talents and their gifts and their skills and abilities that they've been given. What do you do where you're not trying to please other people, but it just makes you feel like the real you? It makes you feel authentic and genuine in what it is that you're pursuing. Now, you might find answers to all four of these questions, and there might be different answers to each one of the questions, or perhaps you only find an answer to one. But asking the questions is definitely worth it, because finding an area where the odds are in your favor is well worth the effort and energy, because you're going to sow the time into something, and I want you to win. I want you to make the impact that God so desperately wants to make in and through you. So remember that clarity that you're going to find doesn't eliminate the hard work, but it does show you where to work hard. And then take that, because the world needs your gift. The world needs your gift right now. Pour into it, develop it, and make the impact that you're supposed to have.